Hello everyone, welcome to Abnormal Investigations. I've got another encounter for you. If you have not checked out our other channel called AI Seeking the Truth, you guys are missing some really scary stories over there. I'd like to invite you to subscribe, help us get that channel up and growing. It is our backup channel and it's a very important channel to keep, and it's where I put all the other things that doesn't fit in here but are very scary, and I've even had people say some of them are hard to listen to. So I will put the link to it in the description of this video, so go click on it, show us some love over there, subscribe, ring the bell, select all, guys. You won't regret it. If you love these stories, you'll absolutely love those also. So let's get into this encounter. I used to live in an old rundown house on the edge of some suburbs near Houston, Texas. The place was ancient as well as oddly built. For example, the kitchen was also the laundry room, which also had the front door connected to it. The back door was on the second story because the place sat in the middle of a steep hill. Yeah, none of it really made much sense to me, but it was home for the whole family and for my whole childhood. That back door, though, it freaked me out. The fact that it was the second story made it so creepy. If someone broke in up there, they'd be only yards away from my bedroom door and the window, not to mention the big weird flap that was cut out on the bottom of the door. It looked like a doggy door that one of the previous owners had cut into it. We, of course, nailed it into place since we didn't have any pets. The week we moved in was pretty uneventful. When I wasn't at school, I was at home helping my mom and dad unbox boxes. It is insane how many boxes a person can fill with personal items they've gathered over the years. Multiply that with each person living in the house, and you have a literal 40-hour work week of unboxing that the three of us had to do. A month in, everything looked great. It was finally starting to feel like home, but I direly missed our old house. I had friends back there where we used to live. One night, after settling bed for some well-needed rest, I heard something strange. It was the bumping sound, very subtle and without a pattern. Bump, bump, bump. I couldn't tell exactly where it was coming from. I wasn't creeped out at the moment, just curious. So I got out of the bed and I put on my loafers. The house was absolutely freezing. My dad loved to take the thermostat down to 66 at night. He must have been a snowman. I opened my door, which led into the upstairs hallway. To my left was a spare bedroom and a utility closet, and to my right was the upstairs outside door. As we began to call it, bump, bump, this time I heard it more clearly. It was much louder than before. I turned to my right. Bump. The upstairs outside door shook a little bump, bump. Every time the noise came, the door shook. It was like someone was outside hitting the door. Hello, I called out. I don't know why I said anything at all. I can only assume that part of me was hoping someone was just simply knocking, and part of me wanted to say something so that my parents may have heard me and come running upstairs. And then again there was bump, bump, bump again. This time fear began to settle in. I jumped with each bumping noise. With each shake of the door, I started to back up into my room. I believed without a doubt that this was either a massive wolf or a bear trying to enter my home. The moment I saw its claws, I knew it couldn't have been either of those. It had fingers, long-reaching fingers with grotesque nails on the tips. They were somehow even yellower than its pointed teeth. They scraped the floor, shaving up pieces of wood as it tried to force its way in. I continued to scream. I couldn't speak tangible words. My whole body shivered. I yelled, "Jesus, help!" I heard my dad's voice. He was a few steps from the door. He must have been running up the stairs when he saw it. "Casey, get over here," he yelled at me. I shook my head. The staircase started to where the upstairs outside door was. Once you reached the top of the stairs, you could turn, and the doorknob, and you could walk out. I was not going that close to the thing. I just stayed there. "I'm coming to you." He grabbed at the railing and scooted his way up the steps. As soon as he was at the closest point to the wild beast, it looked up at him with angry eyes, and it pulled away. My father ran to me, and we both watched the now still and quiet door together. The thing outside, and I'm not joking, it stood up. We watched as a blurry, dark silhouette towered over the door. It stood there for a moment, and then it walked away. After a few moments, my dad took me to his room, and he told me to stay with my mother, who was sitting in an up, very confused bed. He ran to the house, checking the doors and windows to make sure they were locked. He got his rifle, and we all stayed up in the bed, waiting and listening. Nothing else happened that night. But my dad took me to his room after a few moments. He told me to stay with my mother, who was sitting up very confused in bed. He ran around the house, checking the doors and windows again to make sure they were locked. He got his rifle, and he was pacing and listening and waiting. Nothing else happened that night. But Dad looked pale like a ghost. I never heard it again, and never seen it again. After a few moments, my dad took me and brought me to the hallway, and he told me, "We must always keep our doors and windows locked here. There's something here that we didn't expect. We don't have the money to move back to where we came from, so we're stuck with this thing." The next day, we fortified the door. The part that was nailed shut once was now ripped open where the head and hand had stuck through. We refortified it, got a new door, a solid oak door, and we secured the home. It hasn't been back, and it's been weeks now, and I hope that it never comes back. I'm glad that it didn't come back, and y'all are very lucky that it didn't come on into the house. I doubt the previous owner was letting it come into the house. They might have actually had pets, but I would add some lights above that door, motion lights, big lights, bright lights. Add some more lights around your house. I mean, that it hasn't been back is a good sign now anyways, but I would just add lights. You never can go wrong with adding lights, and use motion lights. They're even making some now that are wireless, that are solar, that they say they work really well. So I would just put up more lights. Maybe it doesn't even hurt one to put one inside your house that's pointed toward that door, so if it does open the door, it'll have a bright light in its face. Just some things I think might help you, and I'm sure our viewers will have some other ideas. Thank you for listening, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Keep your head on a swivel until next time, guys. Don't be something's dinner. And what else do you think this guy could do to make himself, safer in their home? Thank you for listening.